Let's talk about the Indiana Pacers, champ. First time since 2000 as well. They get to the NBA Finals. Pascal Siakam won Eastern Conference Finals MVP. No surprise there because of his performances in games 2. Tyrese Halliburton. Because remember, his peers, they voted him the most overrated player in the NBA. You can't call him overrated. You look at Indiana, you look at Rick Carlisle, like I said, their bench, you look at what TJ McConnell does, you look at Shepard, you look at Nembhard, they've got some nice players. Now it's gonna be a problem for them to go up against Oklahoma City because of what they do defensively, the length, but Indiana can match up with their scoring and their fast pace. And the edge that they have is experience with Pascal Siakam and Rick Carlisle. You mentioned before Sam Presti, one of the best GMs that we have in the NBA. Mm-hmm. He wins a championship. This will add to his legacy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because you look at it, as you mentioned, 2012, greatest team to have never captured a championship. You have 3 first ballot Hall of Famers in Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden. Each of them have won league MVPs, perennial all-stars, perennial scoring champions. You also had a good young squad. You also had Serge Ibaka, who can hit the mid-range shot, who can block shots, athletic. What do you think about the Indiana Pacers versus the Oklahoma City? Who do you have winning the series, the finals?
I want the Indiana Pacers to win. The basketball capital of the world. Because people don't understand what Indiana means to basketball, what basketball means to Indiana, and vice versa. People don't understand that the largest crowd to ever see a high school basketball game came from Indiana, was in Indiana. Over 100,000 people showed up to see a high school basketball game in Indiana. Basketball is to Indiana what football is to Texas.
Yes.
I'll say that again. Basketball is to Indiana what football is to Texas.
There's one basketball place you forgot regarding the state. That's right up there with Indiana.
What was that?
North Carolina.
North Carolina as well. But I really want Indiana to win. I really do. And the thing is, people don't understand it. And I said this on my pod last night. Well, our pod, BRF and Flash, shout out to those 2 guys. I said this on our pod last night. It wasn't just him being put as overrated by his peers. Remember the Olympics. Because remember, Jason Tatum wasn't the only one that really didn't get a lot of playing time. Tyrese Halliburton didn't get a lot of playing time in the Olympics either. And there was a lot of memes on him when when you're a teacher, when you do a group project, and everybody else do all the work, you still get an A. And Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum was sitting there with that on.
I think they were also knocking them because just like me, something with the light skinned people,
I don't think so. I think that had very little to do with it. I think that when you are a great player, when you sitting on the bench, there's always little trolls here and there. Like what you doing on the bench? You're supposed to be one of the great players. And people was comparing him more to John Stockton than he did Magic Johnson. Because they say that his play looked kind of bland a little bit. And things like that. Saying his play style was a little bit bland. Now they're saying that, now that they're getting fast breaks and running people's shoestrings off, now they're comparing him to Magic Johnson. So I think that will be great for Tyrese Halliburton and for the basketball capital of the world to finally capture an NBA championship. Not to mention the history of the Indiana Pacers with the ABA. They will be the third ABA team in order to win a championship that was absorbed by the NBA back during the early merger. Remember, there were 4 teams that got absorbed by the NBA. The Denver Nuggets, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Indiana Pacers were 3 of those teams. So that would mean a lot to them as far as being the basketball capital of the world. And look, I even made jokes myself when Caitlin Clark first came into the league and she was able to get them into the playoff. Remember, I even made jokes about Tyrese Halliburton, saying, is Caitlin Clark the best point guard in the state of Indiana at this point?
Yeah.
And then I thought I was the only one saying that. It was all over the internet. So between the Olympic performance that was this year, people calling you John Stockton, which is not a bad assessment. John Stockton was no joke. People calling you John Stockton because your play wasn't as flashy. Your peers labeling you overrated. Not to mention people saying that you might be the second best point guard in the state of Indiana next to Caitlin Clark. That would mean a hell of a lot more to Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers than it would to Oklahoma City. I think Oklahoma City, the thing is, we brought this up on our pod last night, the Big Three. We brought this up last night. Even if they lose, they still set up for the next like 6 years. Because with the draft capital that they have, they might go and create a super team with Giannis. I doubt they will, but they have that capability. Because Sam Presti loves the will and deal. But I think for Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers, that time is now. And I would love to see the basketball capital of the world win an NBA title. They already was the center of the universe in football with Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck at one point. I mean, a lot of fans from the field house, they flocked there in order to see Caitlin Clark. And, we saw the Indiana Fever at the Indiana Pacers game. I would love to see Indiana win a championship and be the third team that was absorbed by the NBA from the ABA in order to win. That would be huge. I would love to see it.
I would love to see it too, because when you think of Indiana, you think of a great basketball state. Caitlin Clark, Indiana Pacers, Reggie Miller. Let's not forget a bad man and Larry Bird. Larry Joseph Bird from Indiana State. I mean, even though with the Boston Celtics, he played for the Boston Celtics, he was a pretty good executive during his time with the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah. And he's from French Lick. When you think about basketball in Indiana, like I said, you think about how football is in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
When basketball season rolls around in Indiana, the barbershops in the small towns, the restaurants, all that closed, and everybody goes to the gymnasium, just like everybody goes to the football field down there in Texas. So when you think about that and you put that in perspective, that would be Indiana winning a championship. That's equivalent to the Texas Longhorns winning a national championship, because everybody loves Dallas, but Texas, when you think about Texas, you think about the Longhorns. That will be equivalent to them. Everybody don't like Dallas, but the Longhorns are a very, very likable team. Them winning in Indiana is equivalent to the Longhorns winning a national championship in Texas. That would be phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. I'm going with OKC because of what they do defensively.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. The thing I love about it the most, Champ, as you've mentioned, 2 teams that are in small markets. This is great for the NBA because we don't really need the sexy, attractive markets to play in the NBA Finals. We're still going to get great basketball regardless. And when you look at Oklahoma City, even though Oklahoma is really known for football because of the Oklahoma Sooners, the Oklahoma State Cowboys, don't really necessarily sleep on Oklahoma basketball.
No.
And you look at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, one of the top 5 players in the NBA, who is Canadian. if he wins a championship with the finals, he becomes the first since Steph to do it back in 2014. And plus, one of the faces of the NBA, we talk about, should Anthony Edwards be the face of the NBA? Why not Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Despite the fact that he's Canadian, I mean, look, you look at Giannis, you look at Jokic, you look at Luka, international players. And Jay Williams talked about it on ESPN, how American basketball has gotten too complacent. With the AAU basketball, the competition, you look at European style basketball, the physicality, the toughness, the mental, the cerebral component, how the way they eat, sleep, and breathe basketball and compete night in, night out. And then when you look at this young core with Sam Presti, yes, even though he still has a lot of draft capital, but if you want to be in the conversations with some of the best GMs, you got to win it right now, man. Because again, the West, even though OKC, but we can't ignore what happens come in the West. Because again, there are a lot of good teams there too. Los Angeles, I believe, to your point, champ, they should move on from LeBron to a lesser extent and build a team around more with Luka. We can't ignore the Dallas Mavericks because they have the number 1 overall pick in Cooper Flag, Anthony Davis, and Kyrie. Assuming if he comes back healthy, we can't disregard the Mavericks, and we can't disregard a lot of other teams. And I would love to see for a market in Oklahoma City win a championship. Because again, can you imagine if they don't win a championship with this roster? Because you didn't win a championship when you had KD, Harden, and Westbrook, and Ibaka. Imagine not winning a championship with SGA, Williams, Chet, Alex Caruso, who I think is going to be an X factor in the finals because of what he can do with the defense, his energy. I love that part. I think it's going to be a really exciting series. I think Thunder wins this one in 6.
And if they do, that forever puts to bed any ghosts from the Seattle Supersonics.
Yes.
That forever puts to bed any ghosts that are lingering from Seattle. Because everybody wants to talk about the shared history. This is your chance, Oklahoma City, to put your stamp on your own history, to say, hey, even if Seattle gets a team or never does get a team, we are Oklahoma City. We are no longer connected to the Seattle. That for they win this championship, that forever puts to bed the ghost of the Seattle Supersonics.
And you know how good of a basketball city Seattle is from their days.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes. I mean,
Gary Payton,
Sean Kemp, Lenny Wilkins. I mean, Tiny Archibald. I mean, DJ Johnson before he went to Boston. He went to Boston. So I think that if they're able to pull that off, this forever puts to bed the ghost of the Seattle Supersonics. And those ghosts are gone forever, and they no longer have to worry about being mentioned in the same breath. You are truly your own team. You are truly your own start of maybe even what can be considered a dynasty. What can be considered probably the beginning of the best part. So this will forever put to bed any type of conversations between Oklahoma City and the Seattle Supersonics. I believe that wholeheartedly.
I believe so. It's going to be an exciting finals. Please go watch it Thursday night on ABC. Please stay tuned. Please watch the finals, folks. Just because they're 2 small market teams doesn't mean you don't have something exciting to look forward to, because this is going to be a heck of a finals.